say I've been getting tatted. They say they like my ink, yeah. I say that I'm flattered. They ask me where I've been, I say I've been getting tatted.
Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be going over, should you still buy a BMW with the M52 engine? And this is because I keep getting asked how easy these are to repair. And I know in the USA, people charge crazy labor rates just to fix these cars. Even here, you know, you take these cars to garages, even in the UK, people get really angry, like you've just took them a Ferrari to work on, you know. And so I'm just going to go over a few things on why a lot of garages don't really want to work on these cars and why they try and charge you a fortune to work on them, and if you still should buy a BMW with the M52 engine. So let's go over what I'm going to be showing you today. So guys, as many of you are aware, this is the M52 engine, and it was the last naturally aspirated engine by BMW. Now, the reason I say that is because a lot of this applies to the USA. And if anyone does watch in the UK, you guys will know that we also had the M53, which was the last naturally aspirated engine. Now, anyone in the USA who don't know that engine, it's basically like the M54 engine, but it doesn't have turbos. It makes about 272 brake without the turbos. It's the exact same setup, used the exact same system, just without turbos. It's the exact same valve cover, exact same injectors, fuel pump, the lot. But that engine is plagued in issues just like the M54 of the injectors and the high pressure fuel pump. And this is what makes the M52 a more reliable, a more better engine all round because of that reason. And still, you know, quite cheap to fix as well as deliver great power and great economy on these engines. So, like I said, if you guys don't know, this would be the last naturally aspirated engine, you know, with the Valvetronic system as well, before they went over to M53 and got rid of the Valvetronic system, and the same for other cars as well. And then they went all to turbocharged engines. So if you are considering buying one of these cars now is a great time to buy them, because obviously me and Nathan have put a lot of videos out regarding the jobs, how to repair on the M52, how to maintain them. I get asked a lot of times, you know, daily, that obviously in the USA, people are charging over the top for labor rates on these engines to fix them. You know, garages try and charge a fortune as soon as they see this name right here, BMW, for no reason. And it's just a shock that why garages are doing that, when this engine, as I've said many, many times, is probably the most easiest engine anyone can work on compared to even the previous BMW models. This car requires little to no tools. All you will need is 10mm Torx for these bolts right here, which are under the oil filter housing gasket, as you see there. 11mm socket for the intake manifold. All you need is 10mm socket for the throttle body, which sits down there. So to do regular maintenance on these cars does not require you to have any kind of special tools as garages and most people will make you believe. These cars are very, very easy to work on, especially the M52. I know, and I have had these engines out in little to less than 2 hours. These engines are very, very easy because the whole wiring in from all the parts on this car come off and just flip straight over so you can pull the engine straight out. The engine mounts sit right underneath you, which you can get to from taking the airbox out, and you can get to the first engine mount there and the other engine mount down the side there, which is not hard to get to either. When you've got a long extension and an impact gun, they come straight off and this engine comes straight out with ease. The main parts of why people get scared of these cars, and when you go to a garage, if your water pump fails, which as you guys know sits down there, which is a common problem, garages will charge you over £1,500 just to do that job for the water pump and the thermostat, because of what they get it in at, you know, they get it in very, most garages here get the water pump in very cheap and then try and rip people off for that part. So be aware of that, that if you're going to do it yourself, it's only going to be about £300, but if you take it to a garage, they're going to charge you about £1,500. Now, I've run quite a few garages to find out what they charge us to remove this manifold, and like I'm going to tell you, they've charged anywhere between $650 to remove this manifold, anywhere up to $800. Now that is a absolute joke, considering this manifold you can actually have it removed in less than 20 minutes yourself. I know it can be done. It is a very simple job. The wiring box underneath's got 2 Torx 30s. It's just released, which a lot of people ain't aware of, and it drops off. And then you've got the vacuum pipe that runs to the oil pan that you just disconnect. This engine is really, really easy to work on. The manifold comes off with, you know, very, very few bolts. It's an easy engine to work on. And like I say, do not pay a garage to take that off to have to redo your CCV. When I've got the video up showing you how to remove that, it's literally a very, very easy job. The valve cover itself is another one that leaks, and like I said, it is a easy job. But like I said, you know, this engine, it doesn't detract the fact that this engine is a very, very good engine. Now what would happen is a lot of people will go and buy these engines, and the reason they go for the M53 is because they've heard a lot of issues with this car. So a lot of people jump and go to the M54. But let me tell you, over the M54, I would rather have this engine. Why? Because this engine is more reliable than the M54 because it doesn't have turbos. And that's another expense that you got to think. I prefer naturally aspirated BMWs, hence why. And a lot of guys ask me, but I have the money to go and buy an F-Series if I really wanted to. I could go and buy the N63 engine if I wanted to. You know, I can buy many cars, but the reason I like the M52 is because this engine appeals to me, and because it's naturally aspirated. I understand how it works. A lot of people put this engine down for the Valvetronic system, or they get scared because of what they hear with the eccentric shaft. Let me tell you, this car's on 160k on the same eccentric shaft sensor. It's not had no problems with the Vanos or the Valvetronic motor. The only thing it had a problem was with the Vanos solenoids. I replaced them. These engines are not problematic at all. You'll take it to a garage, it will be mostly the Vanos solenoids, and garages will then tell you that is something to do with the Vanos and they can't diagnose it. Even breakdown companies here in the UK, if they see a Vanos code on this engine, their minds get completely baffled and they'll want to tow you straight to a garage. And the majority of the time, it's these Vanos solenoids right here that throw a load of Vanos codes and people can't diagnose. So be aware of that. That, like I say, these engines are not bad engines whatsoever. They do not suffer with issues with the Valvetronic system, as many people think. These engines are actually great engines and very, very easy maintenance as well. And they do not require special tools. They require the same amount of tools as any normal car. Even working on your normal Ford, your normal bike, spanners, you can use the same tools you do on any other car. They do not require any different tools whatsoever. The majority of tools that you can use, you probably already have in your house ready to repair these cars. They do take a lot of Torx, which again isn't no different from anything else. Torx bolts are very easy to get hold of. The Vanos on is take a 10mm socket on them to remove them. You know, it's very, very easy to see. A lot of times the reason you hear that you need special tools is a lot of these engines use aluminium bolts, which require torque to yield, so you need a torque wrench, and that's why a lot of garages will tell you you need special tools, but you do not need anything extra than damn set of tools just to do it. Even to remove the pollen filter housing, it's only a 13mm bolt to take all the plastics off, and you've got straight access to this whole engine. The water pump is the most fiddly part on this car, but it's not a hard job and it's not something you can't do at home. You can do is it sits right down here, and with a couple of axle stands, anyone can do it from home, just from underneath with the cover off. It's not hard to get to as well. You just need a lot of extensions and swivel sockets, and you'll be able to release the bolts. Again, they're torque to yield, they're aluminium bolts, so they will come out of ease, and you don't need to retighten them too up either. But like I say, these engines all round are great engines. Some people moan about them burning oil. Mine doesn't really burn oil, if I'm honest with you, because I fixed every single problem, like I said, when I got the car, and I've addressed all the issues. But the majority of people are still having issues with their engines, and that's due to neglect and not knowing about them. There's not enough knowledge around on these engines where people, you know, actually trust. Like for instance, people rely a lot on YouTube, and there's not enough knowledge. This is why a lot of people's cars are running into problems until, like I say, I come along and started addressing all the issues. You'll get garages charging anywhere between £700 just to fit the oil filter housing gasket, and that's simply because most garages want to take off the manifold to be able to do that. Now, you guys know, you've seen me, you don't have to take this manifold off at all. You can lift it up by just loosening the bolts on the top, or getting a swivel socket underneath and just turning that bolt. Like I said, they're torque to yield, and they usually just come out with ease. So don't be fooled thinking that that job's going to be a hard job, because it's not a hard job. The oil cooler comes off of, again, with a 10mm socket, and it's got 3 bolts here, here, and underneath here that you just release. Very easy. As I said, the Vanos solenoids are a 10mm bolt. The valve cover bolts are all 8mm, and so is the Valvetronic motor, 8mm as well, bolts to get off. It is very, very easy to work on this car indeed, and it's not a hard car at all. Like I say, I've maintained everything to the best possible standard I can on this car, and this is why it's giving me trouble-free motoring, and I'm managing to enjoy it daily. You know, the major checks that you've got to do on this car before you go anywhere, and it's something I always tell everyone, is just check your coolant, check your oil filter housing gasket, and these cars will run for many years, you know, trouble free. This is like I said, you've probably seen on one of my previous videos, I check all these things before I drive it, even though I know this car is fine and I know it doesn't burn oil. The oil filter housing gasket, as you'll see here as well, doesn't have any leaks at all, even down there. We've sorted all that out. It did have a leak, as you guys will see from the oil. You'll see it right down there. It was leaking, but we stopped that with a new oil filter housing gasket. And obviously, if I have to take the manifold off again, we'll clean all around that area as well. But as I said, the majority of the problems on these cars are very easy to address and require little to no maintenance. The CCV on this car is really easy, so don't let no garage tell you it ain't easy. The manifold comes off literally, you know, in minutes, and it's a job that has to be done in these cars, and you can get access to everything, including the dissers. Please guys, you know, I just wanted to state, if you should still buy this car, and many people should, they should not fear this car because of the Valvetronic system. The Valvetronic system is one of the best designs BMW ever made, and it is it is a brilliant piece of engineering for this engine as well. So don't ever get it mistaken when people tell you avoid it because it's plagued in Valvetronic problems. The only ones that are plagued in Valvetronic problems are the ones with the M42 and M46 engines. The M52, the 3-litre engines are not plagued in issues. That's only the 2-litre engines that people try and buy thinking they're going to get an economical car, and they're the only ones that suffer with the Valvetronic issues. The M52 engine does not suffer with Valvetronic problems whatsoever. The only problem with this engine, which a lot of people get scared of, is the hydraulic lifters. And now when they read up on that problem, they try and avoid buying this engine based on the hydraulic lifters. Again, do not be put off by that because it doesn't damage the engine. All it does is, because the lifters bleed out, and you've seen probably my video how to bleed them again, just do that method and it will bleed your lifters again. Do not be put off thinking, oh, it's going to cause major engine damage or you need to replace your lifters. People go and replace their lifters only to find out the problem is still there. It does not damage the engine, and BMW will tell you that themselves as well. Overall, guys, this engine is probably one of the best exampled engines you can get, and I still think today, if I had the option to buy an M52 engine, I would definitely go and buy another M52 engine. Like I said, I was planning to get a 650i for this channel, but you know, realistically, I do love my M52 engines, and everyone knows that. This is my favorite engine by far from any kind of BMW engine, even over the M54 engine. I like the M54 engine, but you can't beat the M52 for what it delivers. That Valvetronic system is just amazing. And like I say, the power these things deliver, you know, low down and the grunt, you know, these engines are crackier of an engine, and anyone considering going to buy one, I recommend you go and buy one, because this engine is not plagued with as many issues as many people think. Also, yes, the sump gasket leaks, but if you heard my previous video for the common oil leaks, you will know that I told you to repair that with a sealer. You do not need to replace the whole gasket. You can loosen the bolts to slacken the pan down and then just seal it back up, and it works. I did this on mine. Mine stopped burning oil. You know, I do that. You do not have to change the gasket by any means at all. Just do what I told you regarding the pan. Like I say, alternator failure ain't too common on these. I've not really noticed it. Idler pulley and tensioners do fail. Again, very easy job on this car. Very easy to replace, and you can do that again in 10 minutes. Do not take it to a garage to do, because it is one of the most simplest jobs. You can do it with your eyes closed. That's how simple it is. Like I say, if you get any kind of problems with the water pump and that, again, it can be addressed at home. These are all the main common problems that do go on the M52. And like I say, apart from that, internally, these engines are very good. Some people might buy ones with the piston ring bad by design, and that's usually M52 B23 and a B25. They suffer piston ring failure and valve stem seal failure, and they're the ones that I tell people to avoid. Only go for the M52 B30, because if you buy that engine with that problem, it's going to consume oil and burn oil. You know, if you're having to go for that kind of model, it's usually because people can't afford the B30 engine and they're thinking they're going to save on fuel. You're not actually saving on fuel at all. The B30 actually uses the same amount of fuel as the B25. There is no difference between them both. So guys, as I'm going to say to you, should you still buy the M52 engine? My answer is hell yes, you should still buy the M52 engine. And I recommend this engine next year. I recommend this engine the following year. And I recommend this engine the following year. As you guys know, BMW has all gone turbocharged, and that's a no-no for me. You know, I've always drove BMWs that are naturally aspirated. Fair enough, they make a lot more power, a lot more torque, but for me, A true BMW is a naturally aspirated engine. BMW gone all this turbocharged craze to follow with competition based on other manufacturers. So that's why they've gone all turbocharged craze to make their cars more powerful, more emission friendly, you know, to lower the power of the car, to give it more power of a turbo. It just doesn't make sense to me. I prefer naturally aspirated, less problems, and get the engine is designed to last a lot longer internally because it hasn't got that amount of pressure from a turbocharger. So this engine is the one I would still buy year after year after year. And do I fear these engines? Hell no. The more engines we get, the more videos I put up for you guys to show you how easy these cars are to maintain. As I told you before, this car is a channel car and it will be going nowhere. And I mean that. I know you have my word on that, guys. This car will be going nowhere. Even if we have to do repairs on this car, I will do it. Even if I have to take the engine out, we will take this engine out and replace it. There's a simple fact. This car will be going nowhere. This engine will be staying put with you guys. This car is for you guys to show you all your problems and to show you what you need to know regarding this car and what repairs your car. So that way you guys do not get hammered by any kind of labor rates, by any garages, by anyone. Okay guys, so as you just seen, I've just gone over if you should still buy a BMW M52 engine over other, you know, engines. And there's my take on it, guys. I think you still should buy an M52 engine, and do not be put off by what people say about the Valvetronic. Like I said, that's only in the 2-litre engines. If you are reading it up on forums, that is only in 2-litre engines. The Valvetronic system is not a problematic system at all. Many people do not have issues with the Valvetronic system. If they do, it's because they go into the wrong garages and getting the wrong diagnosis, when it's always due to the valve solenoids. It's not due to the Valvetronic motor failing, and it's definitely not due to the eccentric shaft. Only on the 2-litre engines, the eccentric shaft it's eaten up very, very badly. So avoid them engines like the plague. Always get the 3-litre engine. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. This is BMW Dr. Dean here. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.